What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through my very own team selection for the upcoming Blank Game Week 29. It's a little bit of a weird upload here, don't really make Friday videos in general, but unfortunately this week, work has been absolutely crazy. So any time I've been able to dedicate to the team selection is going to be now. Don't worry though, I guess the later the better. We've added enough information to absorb the European competitions have concluded. So let's see what happens in the press conferences coming up later today. Now in this video, if you saw my transfer plan, I do have 3 free transfers for Blank Game Week 29, and I plan to use the majority of them to get a full starting 11. Now that sounds like quite an easy thing to do, unfortunately though, there's just so many routes, so I'll go over my transfer plan options at the end of the video. First up, a quick recap of how Game Week 28 proceeded, and then I'll be jumping into all the goodness for Blank Game Week 29. So if that's something you guys are interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So just a quick recap of how Game Week 28 actually ended. When I recorded the transfer plan, we still had 1 fixture left, and that was going to be Newcastle vs West Ham. Now fortunately, Isaac did start this one, but unfortunately, he did end up blanking, and that was going to be quite major as it did block a potential João Pedro 9-pointer. But I guess he is back to full fitness, but I didn't really mind if he was rested for this one in preparation for that Carabao Cup final. So we did kiss those João Pedro 9 points away, but it was super jammy, a last minute penalty. We would have really loved that and probably would have got a green arrow afterwards. So with that Isaac 2-pointer, we are sitting on 54 points and a red arrow to 95k. Now at the start of the game week for 28, I honestly thought the team was looking super good, but unfortunately our differentials blanked and some big hitters came in clutch. So let's go over where the other points came from. Obviously Mikalenko Greaves won't be coming off, and Raya was our starting goalkeeper for 3 points. So as a Liverpool fan, quite happy with this performance, but as an FPL manager, I do own a double up with Gabriel. So that clean sheet wipeout was quite painful and would have definitely preferred a 0-0 here. Don't you know what to say about that Arsenal defense though? It has been pretty okay for me in the past few weeks. The one thing to note though is Gabriel's attacking threat is not looking that likely in these past few game weeks. Don't you know what's happened, but Arsenal went from scoring so many set pieces to basically scoring none of them. I just hope as long as we do own him, maybe he gets a few chances. Then Trent also had the clean sheet wipeout, was a little bit of a shock one going 1-0 down to Southampton, but I guess these things happen in the Premier League. It was a defensive mistake, but not from Trent though, so I guess it was a little bit unlucky. So he obviously ended up blanking with no attacking returns. The final option, Munoz, no attacking returns here, but at least the clean sheet in a pretty close Crystal Palace game. It just seems like with Munoz it's either attacking returns or defensive returns. I'm still waiting for the week when they combo up. Then our midfield department was a pretty sad story. We just have Mo Salah with his 15-pointer. Quite happy I went from over Cole Palmer. It was a super lucky decision if you guys did go for kind of Salah over Palmer. Yes, he did score the 2 penalties unlike Palmer who missed one, but I still feel like that swing is more on the lucky side. So I do feel for you guys if you did go for the Cole Palmer captaincy, but I guess it was a risk, especially when Salah had Southampton. Then we spoke about the kind of reason for the red arrow was the differentials not coming through, and that's going to be in Bumo, Semenyo and Eze. Semenyo just seems to be such a disappointment. Whenever I start him, he doesn't get that many points, only yellow cards in the starting 11. Then with him, Bumo also blanked, was hoping for some more returns here, but Brentford overall were pretty quiet. I can also talk about Visa as they had the same fixture, was hoping for maybe a goal and assist like a previous game week, but both ended up blanking. Then also with Eze, was hoping for some more returns. With Mateta out injured, he might have been the main talisman, but literally Sar's been outscoring him so many times in the past few weeks. So I was really hoping that Eze did get some attacking returns as he was probably my biggest differential, only the clean sheet extra point. So I guess on reflection, you guys can see so many of my players did blank. It was basically Salah carrying the team, and that's the reason we secured a red arrow. Also to the fact that Nottingham Forest kept a clean sheet and their ownership was pretty high, something to monitor going into Blank Game Week 29. But let me know how you guys did in Game Week 28. Was it a good week, a bad week, terrible, amazing week? Always like to see how you guys are keeping up in the overall ranks. But now let's move on to Blank Game Week 29 as it really does require all our attention from now till that deadline. And as you guys can see, 3 free transfers and 1.5 million in the bank. So at the moment I do have 9 starters. They're not the best starters, but we can go over them right now and basically give you guys my expectations of each of them. So So at the moment we only have one starting goalkeeper, and that's going to be Raya, and he has Chelsea at home. Have the highest chance of a clean sheet, but it's not going to be the highest percentage I've seen. I do also worry about that Arsenal defense. They haven't been exactly watertight recently, but Chelsea's form isn't fantastic going to this fixture. I guess Arsenal also have to do their best to kind of get results, and the first place to start is probably keeping a clean sheet. Then Mykolenko comes in for Everton. West Ham at home, they also have the highest projected clean sheet odds. Don't exactly know if I'd agree with that, but maybe it's because it's at home. I think that West Ham have actually been attacking pretty well, putting up some okay numbers, but if Mykolenko can keep a clean sheet, I won't be too sad. Then Gabriel, as usual, attacking threat has gone down, but let's hope there's at least a clean sheet here, and if I do choose to sell Cole Palmer, hopefully he stays quiet. Maybe in these kind of bigger clashes, inverted commas, your top 6 clashes, we could see Arsenal going back to some set pieces. Then the final player, Greaves. If I do start Greaves, I just hope he keeps a clean sheet, because that means that Chris Wood ends up blanking. Don't you know what I would do if I don't choose to buy Chris Wood and Greaves does keep a clean sheet, but probably unlikely, as Nottingham Forest are pretty decent attack. I just kind of have to start Greaves at the moment. As mentioned, only 9 starters, so low expectations but high hopes. Then our midfield department isn't looking the best. We have Palmer against Arsenal away, tough fixture, and also in that double up with Ray and Gabriel. Now Palmer last night did only play the second half. He was benched for the first half, and that might be just him recovering from that illness he suffered a few weeks ago. There are question marks about his form though, and I guess he might be a sell, but we'll talk about that shortly. Then at the moment, Mbeumo my captain. Don't worry, whoever I bring in with those transfers will be my captain. Don't you know what to expect with this one, as it is a tough fixture. Our other midfielder has the exact same or reverse fixture at Semenyo with Brentford at home. I'm just hoping for tons of goals in this fixture. Is that a reality? Probably not. I think Bournemouth may be favoured here quite a lot, but let's just see what Brentford can do up front. Mbeumo was especially quiet in GW29. Then our forward line does also look pretty bad. We are going for João Pedro against Man City away, and it just seems like the only way he can score at the moment is with the penalty. Man City's defense isn't the best this season, so I do have some expectations that they might score, and let's just hope that João Pedro is involved if we don't go for someone like a Guardiola. Then our final player, Visa. Bournemouth is a tough game as mentioned, but his stats are looking pretty strong, has some of the highest big chances and shots in the Premier League. So really would love if maybe Visa or Mbeumo gets the goal and the other the assist. That's probably the dream scenario. But Visa does wrap up our 9 starters at the moment, and therefore we don't have a lot of bench coverage. So the players at the moment that don't have a fixture are Salah, Eze, Isaac, Munoz, and finally Trent. And unfortunately Fabianski doesn't start, as he could have been a feature against Everton. So I guess the big question is, how do we spend these 3 free transfers? Let's go on to that transfer plan and discuss a few options. Now as mentioned, with those 3 free transfers, there's a ton of options that you guys can look at. If you're looking at your own kind of transfer plan, you've probably noticed this. So let's go over the kind of ways I'm thinking. So for me, the biggest decision this week is going to be which striker to actually go for as my Isaac replacement. Pretty set that I'm probably going to be selling him. So at the moment, he hasn't dropped in price, but even if he does, won't affect my selling price. I can sell him for 9.1 million. Now the obvious replacement here and the popular option is probably going to be Erling Haaland. Comes in more expensive, so will require a big downgrade. I don't exactly know my thoughts on Haaland at the moment though. Yes, he's a great option, but hasn't been in great form. The Brighton at home fixture, even though it is at home, I do believe it's going to be a little bit of a tougher one. Brighton have improved defensively recently. So is Erling Haaland really the best captaincy option in terms of blank gaming 29, or could someone like a Chris Wood be an alternative? So yes, I finally might be buying Chris Wood as my Isaac replacement. Even though the stats aren't there, I think the next 2 fixtures are pretty strong. The one thing though about Wood is that if you guys do own him and you don't captain him, you're probably be hoping for a blank, as he will be over 100% effective ownership. He's just the most owned player, I guess, in terms of blank gaming 29, and with a good fixture, probably a lot of captaincy will fall on him. So it might be a boring option to buy him and captain him, but it might be a safe one. I would have to captain him though, otherwise, as mentioned, I hope that he would blank. So with that big price difference, this is going to be the main keystone to my kind of transfer plan strategy. I'll be going over options for both of these 2 players. What you guys can do in the comments down below, if you didn't own Wood, would you buy him this week? Or is Erling Haaland coming straight into your FPL team? Now the next big question mark is going to be which premium to sell if you guys are going to go for Erling Haaland. And it's basically between Salah as well as Cole Palmer. Now the big news that came out of the Salah and Liverpool camp was the fact that they lost to PSG on Tuesday, and therefore Liverpool have no other cup competitions besides the Premier League. So what that basically means is that Salah will be starting every game, probably playing 90 minutes, and that could be quite scary if you guys don't own him. On the other hand, we have Cole Palmer, who has a fixture this week against Arsenal away. Might be tough on paper, but always a chance of a dodgy penalty. The thing with him though is next week against Spurs at home, that's a great fixture, as I don't really rate Spurs defensively this Premier League season. So it's kind of a bad defense versus a bad attack at the moment. Let's see who wins. But Cole Palmer still could be a great option in Game Week 30. I would probably say though on a wildcard 31, which it looks like I might be doing, I can see myself picking Salah rather than Palmer. Therefore, do I want to lose the money with the potential bench boost coming up just to buy Salah back at a more expensive price tag on my wildcard? I know that's kind of prioritizing potential future points, but might be the safe play in the situation. So at the moment between these two, leaning towards selling Cole Palmer unless you guys need the funds. But yet again, there's another talking point. So another talking point is going to be who is the replacement in that midfielder slot if I do sell Salah or Cole Palmer. The two options at the moment, they've both risen in price. It's Bruno Fernandes as well as Kluivert. And for these two, I'm basically looking at the next two fixtures. So Leicester away is a strong fixture. I think that's probably the one that you want to target. But then Forest in Game Week 30 doesn't look that great. Now yes, United could still do well against Forest in Game Week 30. But what I might do is take Bruno out next week with a free transfer. So I'm basically locking one in. Whereas if we do look at Kluivert, he has Brentford at home this week and then Ipswich at home. Two very strong fixtures on the cards. Both on penalties, Bournemouth in better attacking form. So is Kluivert a little bit of a no-brainer at the cheaper price tag. What this could allow you guys to do is instead of selling Salah, you could sell Cole Palmer and go for Kluivert, versus selling Salah and going for Bruno Fernandes. Just something to think about. I think this might be the main kind of midfielder slot debate. You guys let me know where you're leaning towards in terms of this transfer. So let's go over where my head is at the current moment. All these transfer plans will revolve around 3 free transfers, and I'll discuss the future implications of all of them. So let's go over my Erling Haaland plan, or my favorite Erling Haaland plan, and that's going to be obviously taking Isaac out for the Norwegian. I will be able to afford this if I do sell Cole Palmer to Kluivert, and I can do this with only 2 free transfers, but now I need an extra player to get a full starting 11. So the current injury news around Trent, they said that he should be able to play again this season, which doesn't sound too optimistic for the short term. Now obviously just wait and see what Arne Slot says in the press conference, but a move I could do is taking Trent out for Guardiola. Now I've already said this, but defensively this week, there's no good fixture, so basically this move is going to be for that Game Week 30 fixture against Leicester at home. Might be a risk there with any Man City defender to kind of go for them, with the Pep Roulette rotation, but Ake is apparently out injured. So Guardiola should be nailed in this back line. They do have the FA Cup a few days before, but I'm hopeful that he plays against Leicester in the midweek. So this will allow me to get a full starting 11. It would be a 4-3-3 formation, and added bonus here is the fact that I'll be able to keep Eze, and as you guys know, has Southampton away in Game Week 30. My transfer plan here would be to upgrade someone like a Visa to a Mateta, or I could just roll the transfer going to that wild card in Game Week 31. So as mentioned, probably my favorite transfer plan at the moment with this team, if I was to go for Erling Haaland up front. Erling Haaland would therefore become my captaincy option, and I'm okay with that even though Brighton might be a tougher game. Now the next 2 transfer plans are going to be if I do ignore Erling Haaland and go for Chris Wood, and this is a debate I've been contemplating as they might match each other this week. So instead of going for Haaland, we'll still be going for the downgrade of Cole Palmer, but what we now could potentially do is because we have so many funds in the bank, we could go Eze to Bruno Fernandes. Probably my 2 favorite options for blank Game Week 29, Bruno plus Kluivert. But we are now losing Eze, and this might require a transfer next week. So what I don't like about this is locking in a potential transfer if we want to take Bruno out, but we could always bench him or just play him. We would be captaining Chris Wood to kind of nullify that high effective ownership. Yes, it's boring, but it might get you some points. This is less aggressive though, and that's why I still might prefer the Erling Haaland moves. We could make this even safer though by not going for the Cole Palmer downgrade. So with the funds in the bank, we could actually go for Trent to Guardiola instead of the Cole Palmer downgrade. The only downside here is not owning Kluivert for those 2 good fixtures. This does set our team up slightly better though. It allows me to keep Cole Palmer for Spurs as well as Salah for Everton. This transfer plan though is pretty safe. What I could also do is instead of going for Bruno, I could go for Kluivert. I just wanted to show you guys the amount of funds I had as my Eze replacement. Very safe though, as mentioned, I don't exactly know if I would go for this, but it's definitely going to be an option. So what you guys can do in the comments down below is you guys can say which option you do prefer. If there's another option that you guys have thought about that I haven't spoken about, feel free to comment and it might be better than my transfer plan. Now there won't be a deadline stream as I am going away this weekend, but I'm probably going to wait until the deadline to make these transfers, as with so many kickoffs straight after the deadline, we surely will get some early team sheet news. That might be important, it might not be, but it's worth just waiting a little bit longer. So I definitely recommend that you guys do that, or at least wait for the press conferences. You guys comment down your transfer plans. I know a ton of you have kind of 4 or 5 free transfers. Are you using all of them? And if you are, what's the transfer plan looking like? So this will be the final video for Blank Game Week 29, as mentioned, no deadline stream, but I will be posting the team over on Twitter and on Discord, both links in the description. This is basically wrap for the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please like it and subscribe if you have subscribed yet. Tons of content for the upcoming fixtures coming up, so make sure that you guys hit those bell notifications. But for the time being, I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.